everyone, welcome to our webinar. My name is Kevin Boomhower, and joining me today alongside me is my partner, Evan Borrin. We're thrilled to have you here for this casual chat for next-gen employee management for HR leaders and how we can empower HR departments. Quick introduction about me. I'm an account manager for DocuWare. Pretty much my role is dedicated contact for direct accounts. In my role, I'm supporting clients with their day-to-day use cases and they're understanding what they need out of DocuWare, and also internally speaking with employees in different departments, understanding what their challenges are with their day-to-day processes, the implications behind them, and potential ways that we can help solve them. The focus of our webinar today is to empower businesses across all departments to really streamline their workflows and solve real-world situations and challenges. So throughout our webinar series, we'll be focusing on different areas of organizations, really understanding what those challenges are in a day-to-day and how we've helped solve them with DocuWare. Evan, you mind sharing with me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for introducing me to the group. Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Borrin. I am the sales manager here for DocuWare. Essentially about my role, I've been with DocuWare here for about a year. What I really am is a solutions provider, right? So customers come to me with some inefficiencies or process change needs that need to take place internally, and I really just make those happen, right? So I consider myself to be a solutions provider that helps customers with their inefficiencies and processes that they might be finding challenges with. To go over kind of just what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start with some data security and the importance of data security, how important it is to protect that sensitive information. We're also going to go into how data silos and integrations are key within any HR department. And then we'll also talk about process optimizations, how we can improve those inefficiencies that the HR departments are currently working through, and how we can really just help with those frustrations that you're dealing with. We'll also then go into a little bit about how we can enhance the employee experience, and we'll end the day with a Q&A and then a short conclusion. So yeah, I think we should dive right in.
Awesome. Time's of the essence. Let's dive right to it. 100%. Show me the data security. I mean, it's a big hot topic. Can you give us an overview of how important data security is in HR departments?
I mean, data security is absolutely everything, right? There's so many legal requirements when we talk about data security, right? We have HIPAA, we have CCPA. You do not want to be on the next news headline with a data breach, right? Or an employee accessing information that they shouldn't have access to. So really, data security is absolutely everything, not just even in HR. In HR, it's very important because we're holding sensitive information of specific employees, but data security is important across every organization and every department level.
Absolutely, and there's definitely a lot of challenges, I'm sure, for HR departments. Like, what are some of those challenges that they face or you see in those meetings or with being secure?
The challenges are many, right? I think challenges in any department are heavy, especially when we talk about data security. To just talk about some though, right? Obviously just meeting the standards of things like HIPAA and CCPA, truly that's a hard thing in its own, right? I mean, if you have a cabinet, filing cabinet that's unlocked, if you're doing everything with paper processes, guess what? You might have just broken an act, right? Like, oh, wow. It's super simple to just not follow through with the HIPAA and CCPA laws. When we talk about more than just kind of organizations like that, it's also important internally that people have access to only what they need, right? Once again, if you guys are dealing with stuff in paper in your HR departments, it's in a filing cabinet and it's unlocked, the wrong person can access it, right? And that's something we don't want to happen. We have payroll files, we have sensitive information like tax information, social securities. So what we can do with a product like a DMS product like ours, DocuWare, is we can remove kind of those anxious feelings of, is our data secure? Because in DocuWare or most other as well program products, fully secure, we put a ton of user permissions involved. So a good scenario would be, let's say HR, right? The HR department would have access to all of their employee files. Now, the department head doesn't have access to everyone's, but has access to their employees of that department's information. And then the employee can view it themselves. So the employees don't have cross information. They can only view what they have the privileges and the permissions to. So that's one way that we can help. Other ways in the data security front, right? Let's talk about data breaches, the external side. When you're using a process like a DMS system, everything has an audit trail. So you know that everything is safe, it's secure, you know who has access to what. And you also know that you have professionals like ourselves monitoring if there has been any issues or instances of data breaches at all. So it's nice that we would do the monitoring instead of you internally, also removing that frustration, anxiety of what's happening with our data, right? We will take care of that as a whole. And then obviously with all of this, people have accessibility to what they need and when they need it.
So it's taking a huge burden off of HR leaders' plates with data security.
100%.
I see that often too. I mean, we talked a lot about different areas. When you meet with HR leaders, what's the 1 or 2 points you really like to drive home about how DocuWare can keep it secure?
There's not even really 1 or 2 points. There's 1 point, and that's data security is absolutely everything, right? So it's stop guessing who's accessing this private information, stop not knowing, put something, a process behind these documents like a DMS system like DocuWare. So you have the know-how and you just know that things are secure. You just don't have to second guess anything. You're not wondering if that bank account is unlocked. You'll never have to think about things like that again. So I think via data security, it's just it's an important topic. It's something that DMS companies like DocuWare can help with software.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah, so I think that's what I wanted to talk to you about with at least in the data security process. Let's jump into a little bit about data silos and integrations. Now, Kevin, we often talk about the importance of data-driven decisions in HR. How can data silos hinder HR department processes and their decision processes?
Well, let's start with what a data silo is. A data silo is really when your data is being held by one group of people that's not accessible by other departments. So let's take an organization where we may have departments like purchasing, accounting, AP, all these different areas, HR. Having software is great. Technology is such an important topic and an area of focus for companies in this year. But having all these different types of softwares can make it very difficult for departments to communicate and collaborate when it comes to documents. Too many times I see when clients, when it comes to those situations, let's say, for example, accounting needs to send a document to an HR department, right? They need to take that document from the server, or like you said, they may have to reach out to get the right permissions to download it, and they have to go into their email to that person. It may seem like a couple steps, but doing that over the course of a day, hundreds of times, or even course of a month, that time adds up, and there's more pressing responsibilities like for HR leaders to grow and provide a positive employee experience. You don't want to have that, that's so data silos really prevent you from having the whole picture of your the data and where your information is being held.
Makes sense. So it's almost like just a bunch of information in different areas that not everyone has access to.
Yeah, and it could also, you don't have that whole picture of what's going on. In terms of wanting to operate more efficiently, if you don't have that complete picture of where your data is and how that information is, it really hinders you from exploring those opportunities to automate and become more efficient.
That makes total sense. Now, let's dive a little bit deeper. Can you share a specific example of how data silos have impacted an HR department that you specifically have worked with?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about HR departments who have a variety of documents. One specifically, they were working together with an employee action plan, right? So you think about it, we have that employee, they may have multiple departments, right? That manager, certain areas, employees. Mm-hmm. So as everyone's communicating into that action plan, it can make it difficult because we don't know what's been changed, who's commenting what. And it also, having that communication, people too many times have to download the document, send it over. Hey, Jim, can you comment on this? And it was going way too much back and forth. So really what we did is provided an area where we can have that centralized data and have it accessible to everyone. So when it comes to that employee action plan, people can communicate, understanding, where it needs to go, and you don't need to have those efficiencies. It's also in one area.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Now let's talk about solutions, right? How can a robust document management system like DocuWare help HR departments break down these data silos?
Yeah, so data silos and integrations really go hand in hand. The integrations are a real hot topic. I hear it a lot from my clients.
I hear it as well.
Think about it, we ideally, having one system would be key for technology, but there's too many applications. I usually see clients having 4 minimum different softwares, right?
So in the department.
And throughout the whole organization. So sometimes it may even be a department where they have a certain software for every single process. So really what integrations are doing are connecting and building that bridge for that data and information to flow seamlessly through the organization. So when you think about it, you want to have a provider that can be able to connect and provide those bridges so you can have information flow seamlessly across your organization, and also be able to help consolidate some of those systems. You think about it, having a system for every single type of process. It's a little bit redundant, and can also increase a lot of costs. Let's face it, software is not something that's inexpensive. It can be expensive to add up. So if you're a department not having it for every single process, you want to be able to have consolidate that while providing ease of use,
a better experience for the users.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. That makes sense. How can DocuWare integrations empower HR leaders and departments? Do you have any examples that you could share with me today?
Yeah, before we dive into examples, some areas that we could really focus is like I said, centralizing that information in documents instead of having it in so many different spots like Dropbox, even cloud areas. Having documents stored in one area that's accessible.
Okay.
It's preventing document loss, as you said, data silos, having data, you don't know where your information is. Having one system with DocuWare provides full visibility. You'll never lose a document again. And also provides that collaboration, that team effort into those documents.
Okay.
So when you think about those three areas, one situation I'm thinking of is, integrations can be very complex. Let's start with something simple with like Microsoft programs.
That'd be great.
Right? Client I had a Microsoft environment, HR department was using Outlook and Teams along, as far as their communication internally.
And we know that can be tough.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's different types of documents are going into different channels, right? So with Outlook, instead of that client having to download the email with the document, bring it into the system, we were able to automatically bring those documents in from Outlook into DocuWare to have it stored.
Oh, that's impressive.
Better yet, we were actually able even to kickstart processes and workflows after we stored it. So think that client, let's say they need to get approval on a document. Well, they didn't need to download it, store it, and then email their boss or the person for approval. They did that automatically once they brought that document in.
That's pretty impressive.
So with Outlook itself, we were able to do it. And when you think about Teams, this email communication, there's so many different channels of communication.
Of course.
So with Teams, having that collaboration effort, let's say on documents where it's we need to get comments and collaborate together on certain areas, that information can seamlessly be brought from Teams into DocuWare. And like how with Outlook, you can kickstart workflows and processes behind it too. So really it's figuring out integrations. They may be complex, but I always like to sit with clients, really understand what you're looking to integrate, what problem it's going to solve, and what information you're looking to bring over. It's not just a one-time thing. It's really a process of working together to really achieve that vision.
What do you want this integration to look like? What's important to integrate with?
Absolutely. I've done integrations with complex systems too when it comes to third parties. I think ADP, UKG, some areas where you're able to integrate and really bring data flow. But like I said, every situation's unique, every environment's different.
Every software has its own version.
Absolutely. So there's really no one size fits all. And I encourage clients to have that sit down conversation, get down to a brainstorm together, and really achieve that vision together.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that story with that client that you helped on the Outlook and Teams and some other integrations. That's awesome. Love to hear it.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you have some stories yourself about processes and optimizing it. I mean, one thing I remember telling me about was onboarding.
Yeah, so let's jump into some process optimization. I'll talk about a client I recently worked with who was having a massive struggle, tons of frustrations. They're growing rapidly. It's like a 60-employee firm. Essentially, they're expecting to hire 60 people, so double their workflows over the next year. So they just didn't honestly have the infrastructure or the employees to be able to handle that type of flow, if it was paper-based or email-based. So they called me to find a solution, and I was able to provide that to them. Basically, what we were able to do was take, like you said, there's so many different means of communication. We were going to take all those means of communication and put it into one system. So as opposed to, someone filling out an application on Indeed and then getting sent to an email, what we did is we started everything off with a simple form fill, right? So someone internally has access to a form, they're going to request for a new hire.
Wait, and is that form like third party, or is that like?
No, that is directly baked into DocuWare, which is awesome. This is something that a lot of software providers provide kind of as something separate. DocuWare doesn't do that. We include it right into our product, and it makes really gathering data and starting processes just like your email process. No different, just from a form fill, we can kick off a process. So this process would be, it starts with a form fill, someone requesting from a department head, maybe for a new employee to be hired. It then gets submitted to HR for review. They can approve or reject it. If they approve it, it then kicks off this whole workflow cycle. So HR then gets a notification to go post the job on whatever site, maybe it's their own website, or maybe it is on like Indeed or something like that. In this particular case, though, we had it published directly on their website. We had a simple form hyperlinked on this company's website that people looking for a job from these guys could actually just fill out the form, attach their resume, and immediately upon submitting that, it will come directly to the HR department for review. Oh, wow. So when we talk about bottlenecks, right, we know today that HR leaders are dealing with an influx of resumes, and they don't really know how to review all of those in a timely process, right? So this will give you the ability to review the resume real quick directly in DocuWare. You'll be able to reject or approve this. If it's rejected, the applicant will get a nice little email saying, thanks for applying, try again next time, whatever it may be. If they approve it, it then goes to the next process, which is going to the department head who requested that new hire. Do you want to hire this person after looking at their resume, or at least give them an interview? Yes or no? Then it will go to HR to schedule. It's all being done through a simple workflow, and it's a process that can be handled in a day as opposed to weeks, right?
Yeah.
I don't know the last time that you or someone, maybe someone, a friend, has applied for a job, and it's not a quick response time, right? It's an endeavors process. It's pretty rough. So in DocuWare, we're able to make the process of giving people interviews much quicker. And then what we can even do after that is set up tasks for the onboarding, which is maybe technical support setting up, or the tech team setting up the desk and the technology, tracking all of that information. Now, keep in mind, all of this is audited along the way, so we know who's doing what and where exactly we're at in the process of this new hire.
So if I'm a manager and I made a new hire request, I could see in DocuWare the status of where.
You can see the status of how many applications have come in for that specific role. You can view all the applications and resumes of that role. You can view them in all the resumes, or all of the interviews that you have set up. And then once you have decided to hire somebody, you're able to even watch what's happening in the post process, which would be, again, the HR team maybe setting up, like requesting their social security cards, things of that nature, or maybe tech setting up their desk or ops. So you really just have this seriously great overview of what's happening.
Yeah.
When we communicate an email, what do we not have? Visibility, zero. We don't know where we're at in any process. We're just guessing and hoping things are going right.
Sure. You mentioned email communication. For me, biggest thing is sometimes, let's face it, we all get very busy in the day.
Yeah.
I may forget, oh wait, I had this certain thing. In DocuWare, how does that help with like making sure everyone stays on task? Like, can you get automatic reminders?
For sure. So when a task is created, we're definitely able to send out automated reminders. We also have some list views, which are almost like a reporting functionality, so you can always have an overview of all of this information. So truly, you have access to all of the information at any time.
So no bottlenecks, nothing sitting on anyone's desk or email anymore.
No, the bottlenecks are solved by a system, right? So put a system in place to make your lives easier, more efficient, more productive.
Yeah.
And what else do we do? Obviously, we increase the employee experience because we're making things quicker. Your HR team is happier. It just makes sense.
Absolutely. That was a great story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Kevin, can you share a little bit about a story that you have? I know that you want to go into a little bit of a version control story. I had a great conversation with a customer and put this into effect for them. So kind of tell me the story that you've got with version control.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of different areas of me. Another version control story I had a client who was struggling with the naming structure of those versions right now. So anytime someone did a certain modification or changed anything, they had a naming structure to follow, right? Version 1.1, if someone put feedback in, they'd have to put parentheses, Roger put feedback in, right? It sounded like and doing your day-to-day responsibilities, naming structure, mistakes do happen, and that created a lot of frustration, right? They wouldn't be able to find the document right away or know which version was done, or even if changes were made, right? If someone didn't highlight the changes that they made, then it could make it frustrating. So really what they were doing is they wanted to have a full, like you mentioned, audit log, really transparency into what's being done with the documents, and also have that control that only certain people could edit or comment on
to user permissions.
Absolutely. So what we were able to do is really create that vision of version control, so that when they're in DocuWare, they don't have to search and have 8 documents pulled for the employee handbook. No, like it's 8, the employee handbook and versions all grouped together.
Correct.
So better yet, let's say you need to restore a previous version, you could do that all right from the DocuWare itself. so you don't have to go back and try to search and it's like
So
search.
you're saying you have one file basically, but you have access to all of the previous histories of this said file.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool.
So you don't have to search through, digging through anymore, figuring out who did what, or have to ask. It's all right then in their visibility.
Nice.
Better yet, they also wanted to work with duplicates because, mentioned like 8 of those same documents. They didn't want to have that. So what we did is we created rules, and this is all behind the scenes. So while the user is storing a document in DocuWare, DocuWare will check to see if any information is the same. So if there is, it'll assign a task to that user saying, hey, review this document. Let's make sure it's not duplicates. We're not storing it, and allows the user to reject it, not store that document where it makes sense. Think about it. So now you're just preventing and creating a safeguard for us to prevent any duplicates and make sure you always have the right version of the document.
That makes sense. I think what I love about versioning is that you know that what people are accessing is going to be the most up to date, and you no longer have to worry about if you're in some type of a shared drive or network drive. You no longer have to be worried about if they're viewing the right version or not. It's just the only thing that exists is the current version.
Absolutely.
I think that is so important.
And transparency, who did what, who made what change.
Yeah, on the back end, right, of who's viewing that SOP and changing it.
Yeah, so you have that full visibility and really get an idea of what's getting done with your documents and how they're going through the process.
That's pretty awesome. Can you share some best practices kind of with version control and what that best practices might look like?
Yeah, it all ties to user permissions at the end of the day, right? You want to have the right user permissions to have access to your documents and be able to provide feedback when they need to. You also want to make sure, okay, who's editing what, who has visibility into the document, right? It's really creating, I always say, you want to build the right foundation and the right structure. And that's really going to go a long way. I've seen clients who, may not, hit all those certain areas before, and they've run into problems down the road. So it's really just, I work together with clients understanding, okay, talk to me about how you want user permission set up. Let's get that vision and work together to achieve it.
Makes sense. I love it. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so we talked a lot of, about what those processes and streamlining, and really ultimately it ties down to the employee experience, right, Evan?
Just 100%. The employee experience is definitely going to be what's I find most important in the end, right? Through process optimizations, it's going to lead to a better employee experience, right? I think that's what's important. We know that the employee experience in terms of longevity of employment is super important, right? We know that turnover is high in this kind of world that we live in today. People are fine to just bounce to the next job. And really what keeps us here, and this is what kept me at DocuWare, I love this place, is the employee experience, honestly. Like being happy in the place that you work isn't just about what we're doing, right? It's about the processes that the business has developed to allow employees to have a better work-life balance, to have access to the documents that they need where they need it, and to know that their information is safe and secure. Trust is such a big factor in this world. And if the employee can trust the place that they work and that the data that they've given them is safe, that they can access their documents when they need it, they're going to be happier. That's what it is, right? We're all striving to create a better user experience, employee experience. It's all about just a good experience. And having a system like DocuWare behind the scenes of your operations HR department will create just that, a better employee experience.
Yeah, it's really laying the groundwork and the foundation for your rest of your department, right? When you come to document management, you want to build that safeguard so you can be able to provide, streamline onboarding, really make it accessible. So it's really just having the right groundwork in.
100%. And when we talk about employee experience, it isn't even just the employees themselves. It's also the HR employees, right? Like this is going to help the HR team. This is going to help anyone impacted by HR, which is everyone.
Yeah. The onboarding process itself that you talked about, that's a big game changer. It's
huge. It's a big process. And it's something that needs to be perfect, right? It needs to work well, or else just even in that employment process with the onboarding, people will have found another job already, right?
Yeah.
You got to work as quick as possible in this environment. There's a lot of tech out there that keeps things moving. We're one of those guys,
Yeah.
Sweet, man. Well, I think at this point, open it up for questions, see if anyone has any questions at this point in time. Let's take a look at the chat here. Give me just a moment. Let me look at my computer. So it looks like we have one chat coming in here. And they're asking, is your system user-friendly and easy to access? Do you want to take the lead on that, and then I can add to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the system itself, I mean, it's really customized to how you want it. So there's a lot of things that you can do in DocuWare, but really we're building you a platform that's going to be easy to use for yourself. So I've had clients who add certain things, or I've had clients take it away. As I mentioned, like it's really creating that process and building the system to how you want it. Technology can do a lot of things, but ultimately, if you're not having that user experience, that feel, making it easy, can be difficult. You know, let's talk about switching from Apple to Android, right?
Big change.
That's a huge change, and it's like there's a lot of different areas to learn on new features. So it's really what I like to do with clients when they want to use with DocuWare. It's like, okay, let's walk through, understand what's important to you, and really create that system so we don't have all of that stuff in the background that could take away from that really easy use experience.
And I think what I want to add on top of that is what's nice about DocuWare is kind of like you learn it once and you can utilize it in any department, right? Like the actual structure of how DocuWare works in our DMS system, it's one size fits all. Basically, if you do a process in HR and then you move to the sales department or something, it's the same process essentially in the front ground, right? With what you're seeing and what you're doing. The background is a whole different story, right? What's happening in the back end is totally nuts. But in the front end, super simple. It's going to be the similar process as to what you're used to. So it's like a system where you put a couple hours in, you play with it, you learn it, and then you're able to use it. And in terms of easy access, what's great is it's on the cloud, right? So we have mobile apps. You can access this from a mobile app, or you can access it from anything that has internet connectivity. So super easy to access, which is awesome. Let's see, take a look at the chat here, see if we have any other chats coming in. It looks like someone's asking, can you help with expiring documents such as driver's licenses for my field employees and tracking those expiring documents that might need to be reviewed? Do you know if we're able to track documents that are expiring?
Yeah, so when you think about it with DocuWare, it's really making it easy to find your documents and securely store them. So when we talk about finding documents easy, you're also managing a lot of those processes behind it. Too many times I see clients managing, deadlines, expirations through Excel or other manual efforts. And unfortunately, Excel, while it may have some perks of things, it doesn't notify you certain renewals. You have to always be on top of the spreadsheet, right? And also, it makes collaboration can be a nightmare. So what we are able to do in DocuWare is really build out what we call customer reports or lists, right? So you talk about driver license. So we can build a custom list that will grab all the driver's license stored in DocuWare, and that will be expiring during a certain point. So let's say take it the next 3 months, right? And then that's automatically being brought in from licenses that are expiring.
So like the driver's license is expiring in 3 months, we'll have a running list of anything that's expiring within 3 months.
Exactly. And what clients love about this is they're not dragging and dropping those licenses onto the list. This is all being done in the background. So
it's dynamic, it's done in real time.
Yeah. So anytime you're storing a document in, because of those index of data you're capturing, DocuWare remembers that and says, hey, wait, this driver's license is expiring within that 90-day window. I'm going to notify you, and better yet, I'm going to send you an email in Outlook or Gmail, because let's face it, you may not be in DocuWare 24/7. So not only that, you're getting that automatic notification from email. Okay, you got to take care of this license. Excel doesn't do that.
Wow, great answer. Yeah. Thank you for the questions, guys. Do we have any others? No, looks good. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to close kind of with just asking for your feedback, right? This is a new webinar that we've started. Really, like Kevin said in the beginning, the goal is to take kind of a deeper dive into each individual type of department use cases and talk about the challenges that the leaders might be facing in that specific department. So would love at the end of this webinar for everyone to give their feedback. There will be the opportunity to do so, and maybe also include what department we should dive into next. So I think our goal is to try to have these once every quarter at minimum. Obviously, we never know, the world changing every day, but we'll work hard to try to have that. So if you all could just give us some feedback, we're trying to make this the best show possible. We want this to be useful for you, and would love to get your feedback. Do you want to just add anything to a closing argument for us, Kevin?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as with me, feedback is always important. We always like to improve, and as I said, technology can be trying to write change and knowing what software. So would love, if you're something stuck with you from this meeting, or like to us dive a little bit deeper, connect with us on LinkedIn, reach out. We'd love to have that conversation discuss what you're looking for, those goals, and really create a strategy and then work together towards achieving it. We'd like to be a consultant and help guide you through that part of the process.
For sure. We're experienced solution providers here at DocuWare, so please reach out. We're going to send an email after this webinar in the coming week or so with both of our contact informations. You can reach us out on LinkedIn or by email or by phone. So we appreciate you all being here today. And please reach out for any questions you have. We're excited to get you guys on your journey to a more satisfying HR department, more efficient and productive. So hope this was able to help you guys understand a little bit about our use cases in DocuWare, and we hope that you guys have a great day.
Thank you for your time. Have a great day.